Very good evening. Twentieth May was scheduled for a workshop, and after the completion of physical geography, students need different orientation, and it also open doors for the new admission, because we are going to start human and economic geography from next Thursday. I don't remember the date exactly, but from next Thursday we will be starting a fresh batch for English medium geography optional. Timing will be the same, 8 to 10 p.m. in the evening. The purpose of the class today is orientation for the new students and reorientation for the old students. Geography has two parts: the physical geography and the human economic geography. In physical geography, we learn about the earth's crust and the landforms. We also learn about the atmospheric processes, atmospheric circulations, the weather, which we call climatology. The study of the earth's crust is called geomorphology. Then the study of hydrosphere or the oceanography. Then your biogeography and environmental geography. That makes the physical geography, that is component of physical geography. I'm speaking today for the freshers as well. And then once we learn the entire physical geography from paper 1, we move to India physical geography. And once the Indian physical geography is completed, then we begin with human and economic geography, the second part of geography, the second volume of geography. Let's learn what is geography to begin with, and what is the magic of geography that everyone today or even 10-15 years back had done so well with the geography optional in civil services examination and also in the PCS examinations. Geography has two parts, physical and human economic, as I told you. Now, geography is the only subject which is the interface between the physical sciences and the human sciences. Today I will talk about answer writing also, so just be with me. How to integrate the humanistic concept in physical geography and how to imply the physical geography into humanistic geography. So we need to understand the reciprocal relationship between the physical geography and human geography. This class should be beneficial for all. In physical geography, science is involved, the physics is involved, and a bit of botany and zoology is involved also. Little bit of chemistry somewhere. But all these scientific concepts are only at elementary level. We use elementary science in physical geography, and some of you might have seen and witnessed also that only elementary science is required. So a student of any background can take geography as an optional. Even if you have arts background, even if you have literature background, but you have common sense and you have done well with your NCERTs or till your class 10th with your science papers, that will be very sufficient for learning geography. Geography is not a science. It has been, often talked about that geography is a science that involves a lot of scientific knowledge. No, it doesn't. Especially for civil services and especially for the syllabus which has been prescribed by UPSC. It is not a science. Now today's class is only meant for the English medium people. The Hindi medium people who can, who can understand, who can comprehend English language are most welcome. But there is no point, if you don't understand English, there is no point in staying here. Because I am not a bilingual teacher, I am a truly either English or Hindi. Don't expect any bilingualism here. Okay, coming back to geography. I told you geography is the interface of physical, earth and the human existence, right? And when we write on physical geography, the human elements have to be incorporated. And when we write human geography, some of the physical elements have to be depicted there also. Now, when we start human geography, it gives opportunity for the students to take admission, to restart. All those who have missed on the physical part, you can restart. And it also gives you another opportunity for answer writing and also for doing special preparation for general studies as well. Why I said this? Because from physical geography these days, general studies questions are very limited. You will find that from mapping and from physical geography, the questions are very limited in preliminary examination. But from human and economic geography and the environmental geography, contemporary issues, biogeography, the questions are numerous. So, starting with human and economic geography, to learn geography as an optional is not a bad idea. In fact, it's a good idea that you are starting geography with human and economic parts, because the date for your prelims has been now shifted to 10th October, and it's now almost 4.5 months for 10th October to count. Now in that situation, in this scenario, you shall not prepare. You already have prepared 4 months for prelims. Now another 4.5 months for prelims will simply elongate the process of prelims learning and prelims preparation. 8.5 months is too much. 8.5 months for prelims will be giving you the marginal diminishing returns. Now what is marginal diminishing returns? If you overdo something, if you overeat your most favorite food, even if you listen to the greatest song of the earth, so first time, second time, third time you will enjoy, but then the returns are negative. Then you will stop enjoying that song or that food. This is what happens for our civil services preparation also. That the peak of PT preparation had come for you, and then suddenly there is an announcement in the COVID situation that the prelims date have been shifted to 10th October. So most of you are at the peak of preparation of your prelims. Now, from the peak, there will be sudden fall, and you can become aimless. There will be, lethargy in terms of picking new facts, and because there are no new facts, you have already read so much for your prelims. And all those who are starting your career for the 2022, obviously you have the bigger opportunity. So in the 4.5 months which are with you, if you can complete your human and economic geography, it will prepare for at least 15 to 16 questions in your prelims, and it will make a lot of difference in your paper 3 general studies mains preparation. At the same time, essay writing, 250 marks, if not 250, 125 marks. At least one essay from human economic geography is always there. So here is an opportunity for you to re-strategize your planning for 10th October. My suggestion will be that you can join an optional, any optional. I am a geography specialist, so I will talk about only geography today. And this particular workshop is for the geography students, not for students in general. So Let's start with human and economic geography from Thursday, because in PT, in mains, for essay writing, it gives you a very solid amount of knowledge and a strong base, a strong foundation, and it will help you to lift your preparation, right? All I am trying to tell you, let me simplify, that geography has two parts. In physical geography, the batch is going on. I have to start now human and economic geography from Thursday, coming Thursday. I don't know the date. You calculate the date, please. And then from Thursday till another 2.5 months, I will be teaching human and economic geography. So in the coming 2.5 months, you can complete at least 60% of the geography. And then after the prelims, you can rejoin for physical geography. That is one condition. And second condition is that if you join human and economic geography from Thursday, then you can get the video classes for physical geography which have been conducted only 1 or 2 months back, or rather 1 or 2 days back. So you can make your decisions accordingly. You can take video classes plus live human economic geography, or maybe you can complete your entire classes, human and economic as well as a physical geography, as live classes only. But this course starting from Thursday will continue till I feel the month of December. It will go till December. In December, I am likely to complete this batch starting on Thursday. All right. So this was some information and some word of encouragement for you, because you will always question that why should I join a course from the middle or from the half of the syllabus. But geography is the only subject which actually gives you opportunity at 2 occasions. When I begin with physical geography, you can take admissions. Now, number of inquiries are always there. Number of people are trying to get into the course. In last 1 month, 30 days, we have so many inquiries. So we have been keeping them on hold. Now, cannot hold them for long. So whenever a new topic is started, we have to open it. This is how it goes now. In the offline classes, in the first day itself, the batch will be full, and the syllabus will be completed on time with a variation of 10-15 days, whatever. But here, the situation is difficult, the Corona times, and in Corona times, the only option for you is the live classes, and I don't think Corona is going to end. The havoc is not going to end until 2022 prelims. So it's all going to be in-house programs and online programs. I don't think offline classes are going to be open until the entire country, at least 60% of the population, has been vaccinated. We are expecting third wave. I don't know what is going to happen. Second wave itself has taken so many lives. Now, there are certain crucial things which need to be discussed now. Okay, so the general talk is over, and in human and economic geography, how to begin? What shall be read before you join the course? Because you are joining from human and economic geography. If you want to join from the physical part, then you have to read class 11 NCERT part 1 and GC Leong volume 1. I repeat again, for physical geography, the basic reading is class 11 new NCERT part 1, and the second reading will be GC Leong volume 1, right? That is for the physical geography. So while doing human economic geography, you can read those NCERTs and GC Leong just to be a little comfortable with the physical phenomena and some of the physical principles of geography, right? Some of the words has to be acquainted when you begin a course, right? So for acquaintance to geography, not really learning of physical geography, you can start with physical geography NCERT class 11 part 1, and then you can also read GC Leong volume 1. So this is my suggestion. Second, for human and economic geography, there is a simple reference book, Rupa Made Simple. I will write here. I will write and explain also. This is your geography. Geography will have two parts, physical geography, and you can call it human geography alone, or you can call it human and economic geography. According to the UPSC syllabus, it is human and economic geography. Now in physical geography, how to begin? The question is, how to begin? This will be useful for any student thinking of any future studies in geography. So this will be like class 11 part 1, and second is the GC Leong. I mean, these very common references, everyone knows it, nothing special here. This is volume 1. You have to begin here, or maybe one atlas, one good atlas, Oxford or Black Swan, whatever you want. So Oxford Student Atlas. So one atlas and two books. You can start your physical geography here. For human and economic geography, I mean, what to do before you join on Thursday? You need to do some extra work. Here you have class 12 part 1 and part 2 NCERT. This is new NCERT, essentially new NCERT. So read the NCERT first. That is the reference point. And second, you have to read Rupa Made Simple. The book is not simple, however it claims to be simple. So Rupa Made Simple, this is volume 2, part 2. It is titled itself Human and Economic Geography. The title itself is Human and Economic Geography. Okay? Start with NCERT. Start reading, all of you, all those who have joined, all those who are planning to join. So start with class 12, part 1 and 2 NCERTs, and then start reading Rupa Made Simple, part 2, Human and Economic Geography. I am talking to my existing batch also, suggesting you guys also, and suggesting new students also, because we are going to start after 3-4 days, whatever, 5-6 days, the human economic geography. So you have to start reading all this, okay? Now let's elaborate what is human and economic geography. So elaborating human and economic geography. Now we will treat these two segments as separate identities. So human geography is further divided into cultural geography plus demography. Some people prefer calling it population geography. Many will call it population geography. Okay? And third will be perspectives. Perspectives in human geography. That is what is also called, very popularly it is called geographical thoughts. इसी को geographical thoughts कहते हैं. Now, cultural geography and population geography have been integrated as one section. We don't have, in civil services, we don't have separate cultural geography or separate population geography. They have been integrated into one, and that will be called your human geography oblique population geography. So it exists in paper 2 as population geography. It exists in paper 1 as human geography as well as population geography in two different sections, right? Now, geographical thought, it has been combined with some parts of cultural geography. So this comes with geographical thought plus some topics of cultural geography. UPSC has made a very unique integrated combination of human geography, and geographical thought and population geography and cultural geography. It seems that several topics from all these sections have been clubbed into one, and we have to actually read population geography and geographical thought. That's it. We don't have cultural geography as a separate topic as such, but some of the topics are there along with population geography, and some of the cultural geography topics are along with your geographical thought. So cultural geography has been integrated into population geography as well as geographical thought. So in paper 1, this is for paper 1. In paper 1, geographical thought and cultural geography are integrated into one, right? And in paper 2, the human geography, population geography, cultural geography all have been integrated into one column. So human geography has a very limited syllabus, because the 3 vast domain of syllabus have been integrated into just one topic, just one section. Very easy to learn, and there is a very specific book on it. So I will suggest you, the reference will be Human Geography. There is a book, Human Geography, by Mazid Hussain. But no more, this book is very useful. It has lost its relevancy. It's a good book at elementary level, but it is losing its relevancy because the nature of the questions are very different. Second reference book will be Sudipta Adhikari. Sudipta Adhikari. Sudipta Adhikari is a marvelous work. I really admire this author. Very genuine and very sacrosanct writing on geographical thought. So geographical thought by Sudipta Adhikari, and it also covers some part of cultural geography. So your paper 1 will be human and geographical thought will be completely covered by Sudipta Adhikari. Let me clarify again. In paper 1, whatever exists as human geography or perspective in human geography that is integrated with cultural geography will be covered by your Sudipta Adhikari. So read that Sudipta Adhikari, and in recent years several of the questions have been asked from Sudipta Adhikari. Direct questions have been asked from Sudipta Adhikari. There was a question on time and space geography. I was wondering how such questions can be asked, but the question was asked from Sudipta Adhikari. So this book is really valid for you. Now another reference book, Demography or Population Geography. Now what to do for population geography? This is one of the largest section of your human geography by Chandana. Population Geography by Chandana, and this Chandana book will cover both paper 1 and 2. So Chandana is a must purchase, must buy, and moreover Rupa Made Simple Human and Economic Geography will also have some 3 chapters on population geography and human geography, brilliantly written. So you can make a combination of Sudipta Adhikari plus Chandana plus Rupa Made Simple. That will take care of your entire human geography, which is mentioned in your UPSC syllabus. I hope I am precise and I hope I am accurate for you. So I am repeating again, for human geography you have to purchase, you have to read Sudipta Adhikari 1, Chandana 2, and then Rupa Made Simple Human and Economic Geography. So this was about human and economic geography. Now coming to, this was about human geography. Now coming to economic geography. Economic geography will have so many sections. One is very interesting. This is economic development. Economic development. Now in economic development, let me tell you that your paper 3 general studies syllabus also begins with economic development. Now this cannot be coincidental. I don't believe in that theory, because in paper 3 number of syllabus part of GS directly matches with our geography syllabus. So in your paper 3 general studies, it will help you. It is in our paper 1 economic geography, the first topic. So the aspects of economic development, economic growth and development, economic growth and development, and then you will have the economic models. UPSC writes investment models, we have developmental models. There is a thin line difference. Some of the developmental models are also investment models, right? Growth models are also investment models. But in geography, we have to study the developmental models or economic growth models. GS may you have investment models. That is the difference in geography syllabus, optional and general studies. Okay. Now, second part of economic geography will be your resources. Now, resources are in paper 1 as well as paper 2. In paper 1, we will learn about the theories of resources, say the Zimmerman's functional theory. We will learn about the Amartya Sen's entitlement theory. You know, how the communist point of view, the socialist point of view on resources, the welfare approach in resource geography, you know, the technology theory, Hoffman, on resource geography. So we learn about the theoretical part in paper 1, classification of resources, conservation of resources, but in paper 2, we will have more about the distribution of resources. I hope you are getting me. In paper 2, we will have more about the distribution of resources, the spatial distribution of resources. Why resources are found at the place they are located, that is the fundamental question in our resource geography in paper 2. Most of the questions are lingering around the locational factor, the factors which are leading to the localization of resources, concentration of resources. As I told you, why coal is found at the place it is found. That is the fundamental inquiry, investigation which is made by a geographer. Now, in paper 2, we will learn about the distribution aspect and the utilization aspect of resource. So I'm writing here, distribution aspect and the utilization aspect, and in the utilization we will talk about the sustainable development of resource, meaning resource, obviously resource conservation aa gaya, and the current utilization plus sustainable development of the resources. So there are questions are more likely to be asked on the current utilization of resources, distribution of resources, then current utilization of resources, then sustainability of resources. Most of the questions, 99% probability is on resource geography, you will have in paper 2 either a question on distribution or a question on utilization. Now in utilization, there are two segments. A, the current utilization trend, like if you take example of coal as a resource. So in distribution, what we learn, where all coal resources are found. In utilization, what we learn, like in railway sector, in cement industry, in thermal power sector, how coal is being utilized, how much is the production and how coal is being utilized in different economic sectors. And then coal, say, related pollution, and pollution related environmental issues will also come. So in utilization factor, we have current utilization, we have sustainable development of resources, and then we will have the pollution control measures, or maybe the environmental aspects of the exploitation of resources, the environmental aspects of the utilization of resources. You call it environmental impact assessment. That is based on the Leopold matrix. That cannot be applied allwhere, but still you can think some generic points about the environmental aspect of any resource for that matter, not only the coal but even iron. Say you have another resource, biotic resource, or maybe the forest resource. So forest resource ka distribution, फॉरेस्ट रिसोर्स का करंट यूटिलाइजेशन, sustainable development of forest resource, and then the environmental aspects of exploiting the forest resource, how it is damaging the environment and how the environmental damages or environmental degeneration can be controlled. I hope you are able to appreciate the basic design of the syllabus. Here I am to open vistas for the new students also, my old students also, and you are learning how to read your human and economic geography. So let me repeat something. In paper 1, in paper 1 we have economic growth and development and the models to begin with. Then resource geography. Now resource geography will be in paper 1 and 2. In the paper 1 again we will have the resource, definition of resource. This is how we have to learn. Classification of resource, the theories related to resource, the resource conservation methods, the resource conservation methods, है ना? तो in paper 1 we learn the theoretical part. In paper 2 we learn the practical part, more factual. Paper 2 will be more factual. Now from resource let's move to industry. Now a study of resource will embolden your understanding of industries also, because say in industry, if you take example of iron and steel industry, then iron and steel industry is based on raw materials like coal, like iron, like manganese, like limestone. So the distribution of resources will have immense impact on the localization of industries also. Now in industrial geography what we learned, again paper 1 will be theoretical. So paper 1 will be theoretical. Definition of industry, same here. Definition of industry, classification of industry, theoretical constructs, major theories of industrial locations. Then the sustainability of industries. Instead of conservation method, we'll talk about the sustainability of industries. Okay, so industries will have more or less similar syllabus, similar approach like we have in resource geography for paper 1. Now in paper 2 same approach, similar things, distribution and localization. When we come to paper 2 industrial geography, so the key is localization of industries, right? Meaning distribution of industries, localization, distribution, and then again the output of industries, the industrial outputs, and trades, export and import, etc. You have to relate with the industry, with the export and import. Then the sustainable development of industries, then pollution and environmental aspects of industries. Same will be applied for industrial geography also. So in resource geography, whatever approach we'll have, more or less we have the same for industry. Economic geography we all start with economic growth and development and the models. Then we'll move to resource geography, and you can see the frame here. In industrial geography, you can still see the frame here. Now coming to in economic geography, the fourth section, that is your agriculture. Now in agricultural geography, what you have to do, you have to connect little bit with soil and climate. I'm going to the next page. Agriculture geography, what you have to do, you have to connect with the physical aspects of India, especially in terms of the climate and the soil, right? Climate we have rainfall and we have temperature, these two aspects. Now once you have knowledge of physical aspect of India in terms of climate and soil, your agriculture geography will be supremely empowered. Okay, Someone is knocking, so just give me a second. Okay. Okay, as I told you, in agriculture geography, we have we have to have the fundamental knowledge of physical aspects of India in terms of climate, soil, and in climate, especially the rainfall distribution map of India shall be memorized. The isotherms distribution shall be memorized. The winter time temperature and the summer time temperature shall be memorized. Now, coming to if you want to really score in agriculture geography, starting with physical aspects, then second you will have to learn about the cropping pattern, that is spatial organization of the crop, how the crops are distributed across India, all over India. The cropping pattern means the spatial dimension of the crop, in which part bajra is grown, in which part rice is grown. So that understanding, along with the understanding of rainfall and temperature map, it really gives you the power to write on any topic, to deal with any question. Now in agriculture geography, you have to work on the Green Revolution and the various revolutions henceforth which came after Green Revolution of 1967. Then came several revolutions. You must be knowing Pink Revolution, Red Revolution. So whatever revolutions, a list of revolution, and that has to be learned. Okay, so this will be giving you the basic background in agriculture geography. So I want you to learn agriculture geography in a different way, in such a way that you can tackle your PT questions. Now I tell you one thing, in last year PT questions, there were certain questions from agriculture. Now people started saying, listen to me very carefully, I'm making this valid point for you and for all the people, for all the coaching institutes, teacher, and all the entire fraternity and the student community. UPSC will never ask you questions from any professional courses. Have they ever asked a question from mechanical engineering? No. Have they asked any question from MBBS? No. From MBA? No. Then how come they can ask you from agriculture sciences or environmental sciences? They are very much similar to the mechanical engineering and chemical engineering. They are in parity with such courses because they are also professional. So agriculture will become a highly specialized subject. It cannot be incorporated in geography. A simple graduate is not expected to know agricultural sciences or agronomical sciences. A simple graduate is not supposed to know mechanical engineering or chemical engineering. So when there is no question ever asked from mechanical engineering or chemical engineering or for MBBS courses or MBA courses, then why UPSC will ask you from agricultural sciences? They have not asked anything from agricultural sciences, or no question has been asked from forestry. The questions have come from geography. But I don't know what is the intention of the coaching institutes, that they will categorize only physical questions as geography, mapping questions as geography, and rest they try to throw in the realm of science sometime, in the categories of, they're making new categories. Yeah, they're making categories like question has come from agriculture, question has come from forestry, question has come from agriculture and forestry are highly specialized professional courses. There cannot be any question from agriculture or from forestry. So for heaven's sake, I request all teachers and all the coaching institutes to please consider these questions from geography itself. Geography has to be read through a very new approach, and it has to be read scientifically now, not like the 2011 or 2005. Geography has also taken a new stride in terms of new scientific learnings. Okay, having said that, I want you to start agriculture geography with physical aspects of India, then understanding the spatial organization of then going through all the revolution. Then begins your theoretical part and the other part. Then you will have the other part. After doing all these three sections, then you can start the theoretical part of agriculture geography. Okay, theoretical part, like the models and theories, and then you can also learn the mathematical, or you can call it the quantitative approaches in agricultural geography. So other than learning these simple things, cropping pattern, green revolution, etc., you have to agriculture infrastructure, you have to learn certain theoretical parts also, and quantitative approaches or the quantitative methods which have been applied by agriculture scientists as well as geographers. Geography is a subject which will take the best of agricultural sciences and incorporate in our syllabus. Right, and questions in PT or mains have been asked from the geographical aspect, not from those difficult science aspects. Okay, so in economic geography, as I told you, we have starting with economic development, then resource, then industry, then agriculture, and then finally there are two more: trade and transport geography, and another is regional development and planning. They are also very much part of economic geography, right? ये भी economic geography का ही part है. Now you can just think of the massive dimension economic geography has received in our civil services preparation. In paper 1, in paper 2, it seems that almost 50% syllabus has been covered by the 50 to 60% syllabus will be covered by economic geography itself. Human geography has very limited role. We have only 1 or 2 sections in paper 1 and 2, and that too is very simple. But economic geography is a real challenge, where you have to memorize many facts, where you have to learn many models, where you have to learn quantitative methods, qualitative methods. And then all these sections are so contemporary, like resource geography is very much current, very much contemporary. Even industrial geography could be new industrial policy, very much current. Even regional development planning, Niti Aayog, and the new policies and the Panchayati Raj and the functioning of multi-level planning and blah blah blah, and all the regional programs which are going on, the development programs which are going on in your country. So all this has to be learned in regional development and planning. So this looks like kind of economics, welfare economics. This has strong linkages with welfare economics. Now that is where geography becomes very useful for you, because it will help you. Regional development planning, learning in geography optional will help you in your paper 3 general studies. Lot of topics will match from paper 3, and some of the topics will match from paper 2 as well. In trade and transport, you just go through the syllabus of trade and transport. It has A, C, Z to E, Z to new trade policy to everything in it, to ports, and so many theories will come on the trade, export, import, the trade balances, सब लिखा हुआ है syllabus में. So if you do justice with the syllabus of economic geography, you are highly prepared for your general studies. So I tell you, this is a time before the prelims that you should prepare well on human and economic geography, especially the economic geography. So from Thursday I will start with economic geography only. And the economic geography, if it is aptly learned or if it is justified, then it will take care of your PT questions, 10 to 15 PT questions. It will take care of your paper 3 general studies, And for geography optional people, nowadays the questions are mostly oriented on what? Human and economic geography, mostly the economic aspects, right? So this was about human and economic geography. And I welcome all the new students today. Thank you for joining me, and thank you for joining my course, because you have already joined the course and you have been in the waiting list till for last 10-15 days. So I'm keeping you waiting for another 5-7 days, because I yet have to complete some of the topics of physical geography, and I hope that I will be able to complete them in next 5 days, and then all of you can join me from coming Thursday, and we can start fresh. And I will begin with basics and fundamentals of human and economic geography, taking recourse to NCERTs, taking recourse to Made Simple series book, and taking also shelter to one of the the most interesting definitions which have come from the great scholars, right? Now if you have any questions, you can ask me, or I just want to finish it off for today, because you need to go through the workshop 2 or 3 times, because it was a little hectic, and I feel that I moved really fast today. So I will take up your questions. I'm going for your questions. I hope all my old students have been concentrating hard enough, because your human and economic geography is also going to begin. Taking up your questions now. I'm giving you my office phone number. My office phone number is 9311958008. Or you can do one thing, you can also 8008. This one number, or you can call 07 or 09, or you can directly WhatsApp me. The English medium people, you can always contact me directly. You can be in touch with me, your teacher. My number is 98912-90953. You can contact me on WhatsApp. You can send me SMS, because I don't think I will be able to pick up call, because most of the time I am in my class, busy with some kind of reading or writing. So you can call on this number. This query was there. Harsh Purohit, I will begin my course with physical geography, but I tell you that you can start with human economic geography. I mean, it will not harm your interest at all. But physical geography, in most likelihood, I will begin in the month of, most probably, in the month of October itself, after the prelims. Because human geography will consume some 3 months. All right. हाँ, कमेंट्स हो रहा है. Comments are coming. Most of you are inquiring about the course on CareerWheel app. I'm not sure whether it will ever come on CareerWheel app or not. I don't know. Yeah, of course, Harshit Purohit, I will help you in answer writing also. Why not? Every class which I take, every topic which I discuss is in the form of answer writing only. For every topic I create an introduction. You can ask my old students. I create introduction, then I give you the entire body part and so many pages of writing. human and economic geography will be certainly factual. A bit of, a table of facts has to be learned to you, but not really. I mean, some common facts will be there. Some name of the places will be there. Some data will be there. Yes, Rupa made simple economic and social geography has to be learned. This is true. You have to go and purchase it because there is no other option. Thank you, Manish, Priti. Thank you, Suryadev Singh, for calling me the best teacher of India. Oh, thank you. I've given you the number. You can always inquire over there and you can find out the modalities of admission, etc. Okay, so thank you for the day. It's almost 50 minutes and I've been told that I should not take more number of hours when it is a workshop on YouTube channel. So I thank you for being with me, and I hope my old students and my new students, whoever were there, will be benefited and will be gearing up for the second part of geography. Thank you. Thanks a lot.